Andre Rison. Andre Bad Moon. Rison was the definition of flash and fire. He had the swagger, the stats, and the spotlight, but his off-field life was chaos in motion. After earning nearly $20 million in the NFL, Rison spent like the world owed him everything. Cars, jewelry, parties, nothing was off limits. His volatile relationship with TLC singer Lisa Left Eye Lopes made headlines when she famously torched his Atlanta mansion. Rison's money vanished faster than his temper. Child support cases piled up, bankruptcy followed, and his reputation crumbled. He went from Pro Bowler to broke in less than a decade. But the craziest part, Rison eventually turned his story into a cautionary tale, appearing in ESPN's Broke to warn young players about financial ruin. Once a symbol of excess, he became an example of survival. His story proved fame fades fast, and bad habits fade slower. And for Rison, both came crashing down together. Bernie Kosar. Bernie Kosar wasn't just a quarterback. He was Cleveland's hope. The local hero who played like every snap was personal. But when the final whistle blew on his career, the real battles began. Kosar trusted the wrong people, especially his own family. His father, who once guided him, mismanaged Bernie's fortune through bad investments and shady ventures. By the time Kosar realized, millions were gone. Bankruptcy followed, revealing nearly $19 million in debt. He even owed money to the Browns, the team that made him a legend. Yet Kosar didn't vanish. He became a voice for players who trusted too much and understood too little. Later, he opened up about concussions, trauma, and depression, exposing the human cost behind NFL glory. Bernie's story isn't just about losing money, it's about losing control, and how even heroes can find themselves broke, betrayed, and rebuilding from nothing. Art Schlichter. Art Schlichter's downfall wasn't just tragic, it was relentless. The Ohio State Golden Boy, who had everything, talent, charm, fame, was undone by one thing: gambling. Drafted 4th overall in 1982, he was supposed to be the Colts' future. Instead, he blew his signing bonus on bets within months. The NFL suspended him, reinstated him, then suspended him again. But it didn't stop. Decades later, he was still chasing losses, still running scams to feed the addiction. Ticket fraud, fake deals, stolen money. Every time he got out of prison, he found another way to fall. By 2011, he'd scammed victims out of millions and was sentenced to over a decade behind bars. Schlichter went from Heisman hopeful to habitual inmate. His story wasn't just about addiction. It was about obsession, consuming everything. And for Art, it didn't end in redemption. It ended in ruin, one bet at a time. Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was built like a machine. Fast, powerful, unstoppable. But off the field, his finances were anything but. After earning over $100 million, the former MVP found himself drowning in debt. Lavish spending, bad advisors, and brutal lawsuits bled him dry. He once threw a birthday party with live animals and luxury cars, then couldn't pay the bills. By 2019, creditors lined up, suing him for unpaid loans worth millions. One loan ballooned from $5 million to $8 million in interest alone. His attorneys blamed manipulation by shady financial managers, but it wasn't just bad luck. It was reckless trust and wild spending. Now, Peterson's life feels like a constant courtroom rerun. Despite the headlines, he insists he isn't broke, just untangling chaos. Still, the man once known for breaking tackles is now fighting bankruptcy. And this time, there's no touchdown waiting at the end zone. Gilliam Jr. made history as the NFL's first Black Week 1 starting quarterback. In 1974, he took the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers and instantly became a symbol of progress. But behind the applause, Gilliam faced immense pressure and personal demons. When he was benched mid-season for Terry Bradshaw, the fame faded, and the isolation grew. Drugs followed. He lost his job, his savings, and eventually his home. The same man who broke barriers was now sleeping under bridges, pawning his Super Bowl rings for survival. Gilliam battled addiction for decades, trying to find peace in sobriety and purpose in coaching. But years of struggle took their toll. He died on Christmas Day, 2000, at just 49. His story is haunting. A man who changed the game but couldn't escape the pain that came with it. Joe Gilliam opened doors, but it cost him everything. Mike Webster. Mike Webster was Iron Mike, indestructible on Sundays, broken everywhere else. The Hall of Fame Center for the Steelers anchored 4 Super Bowl wins and became the gold standard of toughness. But after retirement, his mind and body began to collapse. Memory loss, depression, paranoia, years of hits had shattered his brain. He couldn't pay bills, couldn't sleep, and eventually lived in his truck. When he died at 50, no one knew why his life had crumbled. Then came Dr. Bennett Omalu's discovery. Webster's brain showed signs of CTE, a disease caused by repeated head trauma. That finding changed football forever. Webster's pain forced the NFL to face the truth it ignored for decades. He wasn't just a fallen legend, he was the warning sign for every player who followed. And the saddest part, his suffering became the science that saved others from the same fate. Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens was born to dominate. The celebrations, the ego, the drama, they all came with the package. But when the cameras turned off, T.O.'s life unraveled. He earned over $80 million, but spent it just as fast. Failed real estate deals, disastrous business ventures, and over $40,000 a month in child support drained him dry. By 2012, Owens admitted he was broke. The once unstoppable wideout was now chasing minor league football gigs and reality TV checks. He blamed bad advisors and betrayal, but his lifestyle played a role too. He famously said, "I'm in hell." Yet even after bankruptcy, Owens refused to fade quietly. When he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he skipped the official ceremony, holding his own instead. Classic T.O., defiant to the end. He was both victim and villain in his own story. And that's exactly why people still can't look away. Clinton Portis. Clinton Portis played with swagger, style, and a smile, but behind it all, his finances were in freefall. After earning $43 million, he lost nearly everything through bad investments and shady financial advisors. In 2015, he was broke. At one point, Portis admitted he sat outside an advisor's office with a gun, ready to end it all before a friend stopped him. But it gets worse. In 2021, Portis was convicted of healthcare fraud after filing fake medical claims worth nearly $100,000. He spent 6 months in prison and 6 under house arrest. From fan favorite to federal inmate, it was a stunning downfall. Yet even now, he owns his mistakes. Speaking about mental health and manipulation, Portis' story shows how fame can turn fatal when mixed with trust and desperation. And what came next in his life would shock even his biggest fans. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor didn't just play football, he terrorized it. LT changed defense forever, but his personal life was a different story. He admitted to using cocaine by his second NFL season and partied through entire weeks between games. At one point, he claimed to spend thousands daily on drugs and vices. Despite earning $50 million, he filed for bankruptcy twice to dodge foreclosures. Then came legal troubles that wrecked his reputation, including a 2011 conviction that landed him on the sex offender registry. Still, his legend on the field couldn't be erased. LT's chaos was as iconic as his dominance. A man battling addiction and fame at the same time. He once said he lived on the edge, and he wasn't lying. Few players ever flew higher or fell harder. His story proves greatness and destruction can share the same jersey. Mark Brunell was the steady hand every franchise dreams of. Intelligent, disciplined, and calm under pressure. But his financial downfall was the opposite. After earning over $50 million, Brunell's empire imploded. He invested heavily in real estate, franchises, and development projects right before the 2008 crash. When the market collapsed, so did everything he'd built. He filed for bankruptcy while still an active player, owing nearly $25 million. The shocking part, it wasn't greed or recklessness, it was trust. Brunell personally guaranteed loans for partners who couldn't pay them back. The man who led the Jaguars to glory was now facing foreclosure and lawsuits. Yet he found peace in rebuilding, coaching, mentoring, and even becoming a pastor. Brunell's story isn't about losing money, it's about losing security and rediscovering purpose after it's gone. And for him, that comeback might be the greatest win of all. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Deuce McAllister. Deuce McAllister was the definition of loyalty in New Orleans. The bruising running back led the Saints through their darkest days, even after Hurricane Katrina. But his story after football turned into a financial nightmare. Hoping to secure his future, McAlister opened a Nissan dealership only to see it crumble under debt. Within months, he owed millions to the manufacturer and filed for bankruptcy. His attempt to do things right ended in lawsuits, repossessions, and humiliation. The man who carried a city on his back was suddenly drowning in business losses he didn't cause alone. Still, Deuce refused to fade. He reinvented himself as a radio analyst and mentor for young players, reminding everyone that legacy isn't about money. It's about resilience. His story hit home for fans who watched him give everything to New Orleans. And even in bankruptcy, McAlister stayed true to the team that made him. Vick. Michael Vick was electric, football's version of a cheat code. He shattered defenses, became a cultural icon, and landed one of the richest contracts in NFL history. Then everything collapsed. In 2007, federal investigators exposed his role in an illegal dogfighting ring. The headlines ended his career overnight. Sponsors vanished. He went to prison, and while he served time, his finances imploded. Multiple homes foreclosed, nearly $18 million in debt, and a lifestyle that cost over $300,000 a month. But Vick did what few athletes ever manage. He rebuilt. After prison, he returned to the NFL, earned back millions, and publicly atoned for his actions. By 2017, he'd repaid every dollar he owed. His redemption arc remains one of sport's most polarizing stories. Proof that downfall doesn't have to mean defeat. Vick's speed made him famous, but his recovery made him unforgettable. Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch was never the flashiest player, but he was one of the most respected. A hometown hero in Pittsburgh, he won 2 Super Bowls and built a reputation for intelligence and character, but behind the calm image, financial disaster was brewing. Batch poured his fortune into real estate and business ventures, just in time for the 2008 housing collapse. He lost millions overnight and filed for bankruptcy, listing over $8 million in debt. Even his Super Bowl rings were listed among potential assets. The downfall shocked everyone. How could someone so responsible fall so hard? Yet Batch turned it into something powerful. He kept giving back through his Best of the Batch Foundation, helping kids in underprivileged neighborhoods. He proved that dignity isn't about wealth, it's about impact. And while he lost his money, he never lost his purpose. Batch's rebound was quiet, steady, and deeply human. Dermontti Dawson. Dermontti Dawson was built for dominance. A Hall of Fame center for the Steelers, he anchored the offensive line for more than a decade, earning 7 straight Pro Bowls. But his retirement collided with bad timing, the 2008 financial crash. Dawson had invested heavily in real estate projects that collapsed, leaving him buried in debt. He filed for bankruptcy in 2010, revealing nearly $70 million in liabilities. Unlike other players, Dawson wasn't reckless. He was unlucky. The loans he guaranteed personally destroyed his finances when the market imploded. Yet he handled it with honesty, never blaming anyone else. He later turned his pain into motivation, becoming a mentor for younger athletes learning financial literacy. Dawson's fall wasn't dramatic. It was devastatingly real. He lost millions, but never his integrity. And in a league known for ego, that kind of humility is rare. His legacy outlasted the money. Travis Henry. Travis Henry's story is pure chaos. The man rushed for over 1,400 yards with the Bills, earning fame and millions. But his off-field life was a financial explosion waiting to happen. 11 children, 10 mothers, massive child support payments that cost him more than $170,000 a year. Combine that with reckless spending, and it was a disaster in motion. By 2009, the money was gone and things got darker. Henry was arrested for financing a cocaine operation, acting as the money man behind the scenes. He served 3 years in federal prison, his career long gone. What started as promise turned into tragedy. Henry's name became synonymous with waste, bad judgment, and unrealized potential. His story isn't just a warning, it's a meltdown, showing how fame can vanish faster than talent. He was built to run through defenders, but he couldn't outrun himself. Chris McAlister. Chris McAlister was once one of the best cornerbacks alive. A Super Bowl champion with Baltimore, 3-time Pro Bowler, and one of the league's highest paid players. But by 2011, just 2 years after retirement, he was broke. Court documents revealed he couldn't afford his $11,000 monthly child support payments and was living with his parents. The man who once signed a $55 million contract was now unemployed and starting over. Injuries cut his career short, but his spending didn't slow down. Lavish cars, houses, and parties devoured his fortune. There was no safety net, no plan for what came next. McAlister's fall wasn't loud. It was silent and sad. Fans remembered his swagger, not his struggle. His story exposed how fast NFL wealth can disappear when structure vanishes. From the spotlight to his childhood bedroom, McAlister's journey showed how brutal life after fame can be. Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was unstoppable, a wrecking ball in human form. 7 Pro Bowls, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and a Super Bowl ring. But even legends can burn out. By 2012, Sapp was bankrupt. He owed over $6 million in debt with barely $800 in his bank account. The man who once flaunted luxury cars and designer collections was selling his own memorabilia just to stay afloat. Lavish spending, failed real estate deals, and mounting legal bills erased everything. Then came the scandals, an arrest during Super Bowl weekend that cost him his analyst job at NFL Network. But Sapp's story didn't end there. He found a quiet comeback under Deion Sanders, coaching young players at Colorado. The fire still burns, just in a different form. Sapp's fall was dramatic, but his resilience proved he still has something left to give. Vince Young. Vince Young had the world in his hands. A national champion at Texas, a top 3 draft pick, and NFL Rookie of the Year. But success came faster than maturity. Young spent like his fame would never fade, private jets, luxury trips, and even buying out an entire airplane just to fly alone. Despite earning $34 million, he filed for bankruptcy in 2014. He blamed shady advisors and bad loans, but his lifestyle played a major role. At one point, he reportedly spent $5,000 a week at restaurants like the Cheesecake Factory. Every dollar fed his ego, not his future. Attempts at a comeback failed, but redemption came through responsibility. Young earned his college degree, opened a restaurant, and now mentors players about financial survival. His journey is a reminder that talent opens doors, but choices decide whether they stay open. Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis was built for dominance. The 2003 Offensive Player of the Year rushed for over 2,000 yards and helped the Ravens win a Super Bowl, but retirement hit him like a blindside tackle. He invested in trucking and business ventures that collapsed, leaving millions in unpaid loans. By 2012, Lewis filed for bankruptcy, listing more than $10 million in debt. He sold his Super Bowl ring just to stay afloat. Beyond money, Lewis battled depression and post-concussion symptoms that haunted him for years. His decline showed that physical pain wasn't the only kind of damage football leaves behind. Still, he's finding peace, speaking openly about mental health and rebuilding piece by piece. Lewis's story hurts because it's real. A superstar who gave everything to the game, only to have it take almost everything in return. Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas wasn't just a quarterback. He was football's foundation. The flat top, the black high tops, the toughness. He built the image of the modern NFL. But despite his fame, he never made modern money. His peak salary barely topped 6 figures. When his playing days ended, he turned to business ventures that went bust, from real estate to circuit boards. By the 1990s, the man who built the league was bankrupt. He lent his name to products, made appearances, and kept working just to stay afloat. It was a harsh contrast to today's millionaires. Still, Unitas never stopped giving, establishing the Golden Arm Award to honor young quarterbacks. He died in 2002, loved but underappreciated financially. His story isn't one of excess. It's a warning about how even icons can be forgotten by time. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.